Hello, my name is Gene Dennebaum, and thanks for visiting this site. I'd like to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, Bruce Flagler. Bruce has ALS. I met Bruce in a place called Can Tho, Vietnam. The year was 1969. We were both in the Army at the time. Bruce was just a regular guy from a normal family. We were both members of a unit called the 2nd CLSU. Our mission was the control and repair of crypto equipment, that's voice and teletype scramblers used by Allied forces in the southern part of Vietnam. Now here's a unit picture that shows the whole bunch. I'm going to identify a couple of members that are part of my story. First are the Three Musketeers. That would be Bruce, Mark Landon, and myself. We were pretty much inseparable and got into all kinds of trouble together. We were the best of friends. Then there's Ralph. Ralph was an 8.5-foot Burmese python that once a month we fed whole chickens. The last member in my story is our commanding officer, Lieutenant Ben Jennings. Bruce is best remembered for his sense of humor. He was always pulling a prank on someone. Not mean, just having a good time and not taking anything too seriously. Like the time that he came up with the idea of painting bright orange peace signs on the backs of frogs and letting them go inside of our hooch. It drove the first sergeant crazy. Now here's something many of us thought we'd never see. Lieutenant Jennings promoting Bruce to Spec 5. And here's a shot of Bruce slipping a peace sign into one of the unit pictures. And now a series of shots of Ralph. Everybody had to get their picture taken with Ralph. One way or another. We all had to pick him up, drape him around our necks, see what he felt like. He was really surprisingly heavy. A unique mascot, to say the least. Not interested at all in you, only in food and water, staying cool. These are the things that kept Ralph going. To tell you this story, I need to give you a feel for what the place looked like. Can Tho was the largest city in the Mekong Delta region of Vietnam, which is a huge river system of canals and sub-rivers that form this 100-mile wide delta. It really is quite impressive. While there was a large number of people that called the city home, many of them lived on the water. The river was everything to them. Many of these shots are the Can Tho markets, which were on land, but they were also on thousands of little boats in the river. And now for the part of the story that we all looked forward to the most, going home. We called it getting back to the world. Once you pass through this portal, you are on your way. This is a shot of Bruce's arrival flight into Albany. And then a picture of Bruce with his mom. So here I'll leave the tale of Vietnam and move on to Bruce's life after Vietnam. He'd always wanted to be a fireman ever since he was a kid. And he did. He became a volunteer at the DeFriestville Fire Department. He was a dad to twin sons, Kyle and Brad. His favorite pastime is playing golf. He just loves playing the game. He'd get out with friends, play in leagues and tournaments, take his clients out. He would play with anybody. But his favorite was to get out with his boys. After the longest time, he finally gave up on me when I reminded him that I was a fisherman. He can't teach me to chase little white balls, and I can't teach him to cast a fly. Bruce was always a devoted son, a brother, and a family man. For most of his working life, he worked for Troy Belting and Supply Company in Watervliet, New York. He still works there today. So out of all of these guys in our Vietnam unit,
Only Bruce and I stayed in touch over the years. We stayed involved in each other's lives. We stood up with each other as best men at each other's weddings. Here are a couple of shots from Bruce's wedding. How do you like those pants? And all that hair. I wish I still had some of that today.
So this is me and Ben Jennings, our CO. Ben tells me that he always remembers Bruce as having that smile on his face. You always knew that he was about to pull something, but you never knew whether you were going to enjoy it and be laughing, or if you were going to be the brunt of the prank that Bruce had in mind.
This is Bruce and I sitting on my deck in Gorham, New Hampshire.
By this point in time, Bruce had recently been diagnosed with ALS, and the whole story begins to change. It took Bruce a while to get comfortable with telling anyone else what was going on. Once he did, we contacted Mark, and we got back together again in May of 2009. It was the first time that Bruce and I had seen Mark in 40 years. We spent a fantastic weekend together, topped off with just an incredible night
with Kyle Hoffman and his racing team at Lebanon Valley Speedway.
Bruce has been a member of their pit crew for years, and Mark and I were made to feel like family. I'm going to talk for a minute about ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. With a name like that, it's not surprising that we know it as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a rare and generally fatal disease that's progressive. It's characterized by an increasing and spreading muscle weakness and eventually atrophy of those muscles. The progression of the disease is different for each individual. No two go through exactly the same path. About 30,000 people in the U.S. live with ALS, and that number, although it seems high, puts it well within the National Institute of Health definition of a rare disease. Because of this, ALS does not get the attention nor the funding that a major disease might typically expect in the U.S. This next statistic is a heads up to veterans. Veterans of the armed services are about 1.5 times as likely to develop ALS as non-military population, and they don't know why. It seems it's just one more of those undefined benefits of military service. For Bruce, the symptoms first began in his throat. Slurred speech, degraded to the point where he could no longer speak, and then he couldn't swallow, which means he could no longer drink or eat. And as I sit here recording this, in January of 2010, Bruce is slowly losing strength in his left arm and stamina for everyday activities. And here's a cruel and frustrating side of ALS. Although Bruce can no longer speak, his mind is still intact. It has not degraded. He's very aware of what's going on and what he's lost. Bruce is the guy that I have known all of my life as the ultimate practical joker. His face always told the story of what's going on. But now you look at his face and it hardly changes. So he can't speak and his face doesn't show it anymore, and all of that is still in there. He's just as full of it as he ever was. His eyes tell the story. He just can't get it out. But not all in this story is gloom and doom. Those of us who know Bruce are not surprised to find that he's a real scrapper. He's fighting this all the way. His doctors say that one of the reasons why his disease is progressing more slowly than most is his attitude, that he just won't give up. And I must admit that one of the reasons why I am doing what I'm doing is because I'm so proud of Bruce. I'm proud to be his friend. I'm proud of his attitude. His should be a lesson to us all. This next piece is an interview of Bruce and Karen Spinelli of St. Peter's ALS Center in Albany, New York. The interview was done as part of the Muscular Dystrophy Association's Jerry Lewis Telethon on Labor Day of 2009. The interview was conducted by Liz Bishop of WRGB Channel 6 in Albany.
Bruce, what is your reality of ALS?
But somewhere down the road, it may get real bad.
Bruce Flagler goes through 4 or 5 steno pads a week. Unlike Andrew, he still works, plays golf, even joins the pit crew at Lebanon Valley Speedway. But ALS stole his speech about 2 years ago, and eventually his ability to eat or drink. How has ALS affected you emotionally?
Very hard in the beginning. But now I won't let it win.
What does that mean to you, you won't let it win?
I won't give up or quit what I do.
Karen speaks for Bruce in many ways, not just to communicate, but to advocate and provide for him and her 100 or so other clients.
This is a disease that takes so much courage, and because people lose their ability to get out at times, to be able to speak, the center and MDA need to be their voice. This needs to be a safe place where they know they're cared about, and there is a sense of hope here.
And so the center provides wheelchairs and augmentative devices, doctors and family counselors. And when it's not speaking out, it's listening.
They work very hard and care to help us get through this big bump in the road of life.
I think Karen said it very well. To face this disease on a day-to-day basis requires incredible courage, something Bruce has shown that he has. And Bruce is lucky. He doesn't have to face it alone. He has a tremendous number of people that are standing with him, and I want to say thanks to some of those that have the biggest impact. Starting with his 2 sons, Kyle and Brad. If it wasn't for these two, the day-to-day would be much more difficult to do. They help him in so many ways with all the different things that life brings Bruce's way. So guys, this is just one more voice out there saying, thank you. You are making a difference. And next I want to thank Bruce's sister Linda for all that she does to help hold the family together and keep things moving. You're an angel, and it makes a world of difference to Bruce. And if you look closely in this picture, you can see that Bruce hasn't really changed that much. Yes, that is a pair of horns he's putting on his sister. And Bruce has a whole variety of friends out there. People that stop by and see him. People that wish him well. This is his good friend Mike. Mike, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and thanks. It means a lot to Bruce. And then there's Kyle Hoffman and his racing crew. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for allowing Bruce to continue. It makes a world of difference to him, and we have enjoyed it tremendously. Mark and I want to once again say thanks for what you showed us, and also what you do for Bruce. So you dirt track fans out there, at Lebanon Valley or no matter where Kyle's racing, lend your voice and help make the crowd roar for number 16. And next I want to say thank you to all of the folks at Troy Belting and Supply Company. Your willingness to allow Bruce to continue to have a meaningful work life has made a huge difference in his ability to cope with this. You folks have shown old school values that I believe will serve you well with all of your employees as well as in the marketplace. Thank you. I cannot say it enough. And those of you watching this from the Northeast that have maintenance needs, put these guys on your list of preferred suppliers. Their products and services have some great people standing behind them. And last, but certainly not least, a big thank you to Karen and all of the wonderful folks at St. Peter's ALS Center. You have made Bruce and his family much more able to deal with what Bruce is going through. You have shown them that they can have hope in a time when they had very little. Bruce says you are like their compass to help them find their way in their difficult journey. To all of you, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And so I reach the end of my story. Thanks for taking the time to listen. If you'd like to send Bruce an email, there's a link just to the right of this video that'll help you do that. This is a shot of me with Bruce's girlfriend, my chocolate lab Mia. Mia and I would like to close this with an appeal for your help and support to the wonderful folks who bring services to those suffering from this debilitating disease, or to those who do research to the cause, cure, and prevention of ALS. If you look a little further down on this webpage, you'll find links to St. Peter's Hospital ALS Regional Center, the ALS Center at the Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, the ALS Association, and the Muscular Dystrophy Association. No matter where you choose to give that donation, please give it in honor of Bruce Flagler. Please take a few minutes and make a donation. Thank you.